Corruption has taken the centre stage in many public debates here in Kenya. From Anglo leasing to the IEBC chicken gate scam to the recent National Youth Service scandal where the taxpayers almost lost 800 million Kenyan shillings. It is such scandals that have made many Kenyans lose hope with the government's efforts in fighting corruption. In this episode, we shall address the burning issue in corruption in depth by seeking solutions from members of the public as well as opinion leaders. Welcome to Solutions Barabarani. I'm your host, Priscilla. Today I've come out to the streets of Nairobi to find out what people think about corruption in Kenya.
Corruption in Kenya is a big case that needs to be handled because at the rate it's going, it'll eat up our society.
Firstly, it needs to stop, but I think it's going to take a lot of personal responsibility. We can't just blame the government because there's people who are giving and people who are taking. So I think it's going to take all of us to say no to corruption. And I know that it might be difficult because you think it's the easier way out. But yeah, I think we just slowly by slowly we need to start saying no. You know, if they decide they want to lock you up, then fine, because I think it's the best way for us to stop corruption.
I think corruption in Kenya is a very deep problem, which starts with the lack of morality of people as people in the society, which stems back into the heart. People lack accountability. You are given a position as a person, you use it for your own benefit, yeah, which is hampering our development in all sectors. It starts from the family, you come back to job, everywhere, even in the church, surprisingly, there is corruption.
I think corruption is a very deep-rooted problem in Kenya. It begins like at the grassroots level and just goes up because everyone in the country has a little bit of corruption in them. So I think we need to begin with the young kids to eradicate corruption in the country.
The thing is, first of all, people should fear God. When they fear God, God will reveal them the way. Because the Bible says that Jesus is the way, the life, and the truth. When you read the book of John chapter 14. So when people will discover the truth, when people will fear God, corruption will end in Jesus' name. Thank you.
Now we have heard what the people of Nairobi think. Let's see what the experts say. Today we have Josiah Adiema Adiema, partners at Savvy Poll and the chairman of Kenya National Debate Council. Welcome.
Thank you so much, Mom.
So today we're talking about the war on corruption. So do you think that there's a war of corruption in Kenya? What is the solutions that we can do?
Is there a war on corruption that is going on? I think yes, but with the same length I would say no as well. I would say yes because there is so much word on it, be it on the street, be it from authorities and be it from wherever level corruption has been mentioned. But as to the fight to it, I think there is a little bit of backpedaling, especially from the sources where it's supposed to be.
What do you think we can do to tackle corruption in Kenya here?
Corruption to be tackled, that is a very wide thing. The question is that, is it even possible to tackle corruption? Is it deeply entrenched to the extent that tackling it would be very hard? It's a question of the will, and the will must be that which comes from the upper level as well as the down level. And the down level is whereby we start by inculcating the sense of patriotism, can you be patriotic enough not to steal the resources of your nation? Because when you steal the resources of your nation as an individual, then you get to affect a lot of things. For example, the health, the education, as well as all the development opportunities. But from the upper level, then it becomes the question is there enough will, both political will as well as the institutional will? Do we have in place institutions that will tackle corruption all the way through, and do they have the capability? When I say that, I'm looking at the EACC. Does it have the mettle to fight corruption to its conclusive end? And what about the leadership? If the presidency and the vice presidency, those officers have been marred by allegations of corruption, then does it mean something, or does it affect the war on corruption in itself?
So as a nation, we should hold the government to account for corruption? Yes,
the government must be held accountable. But even before the nations rise up to hold the government accountable, then it becomes very much important for us to elect leadership that appreciates that it does not have to come from the people for them to be a clean hand. It has to come from them. The very minute you want to go into an elective office, are you going to loot the coffers, the public coffers, or are you going to serve the people? Now, if that becomes the question, then it doesn't necessarily have to come from the accountability level. Even before you ask for accountability, then it means you must be accountable to people. But what about if we have an electorate that does not demand accountability? Does it mean that there is a loophole for people to mug the resources? Right now, leadership is skewed in terms of perception, because people think that when they get into leadership positions, then it's an opportunity to amass wealth, and amass quick wealth for that matter, because somebody calculates that I'm going to be in this office for maybe 5 years, and then they want to quantify within the period of 5 years I was in power, what have I have achieved? And that achievement is not necessarily in terms of service, it is in terms of how much money have I made while I'm serving in this position. So it's the rich, it's the rich back mentality, the quick back mentality. Say, let me get rich at the slightest, shortest possible time.
So there isn't a passion anymore for serving the people?
Yes, along the way that is pretty much lost, because we do not see people who come out to want to serve. We see people who are there and want to see that how much do I make.
Do you think there's any solutions in a primary way, so a smaller way, that we can sort of help our children to get rid of this mentality?
Yes, I think so. And the good news is that even from the leadership level, we are seeing people who are rising up. For example, I must laud the new governor for refusing the opulence that come with such kind of positions. Then that shows that if this new crop was harnessed into leadership, then there's a new dawn that is coming up. What do we do for the nation to have such kind of leaders in place? I think there must be multi-levels of investment in terms of, do we teach our children at the educational level, at the primary level, high school level? Do we teach our children to be passionate enough for our nation? Do we teach them to be patriotic enough for our nation, to love it so much that it pains them, even the slightest bit, when they take even a small amount of money?
Do you think in these levels of teaching them as well, we should also teach them to eradicate tribalism?
Very, very, very vital, because that if we do not take away the aspect of tribalism, that is still the epitome of cronism. And most of the time, people huddle themselves together so that they can do something. You find that a clique of people who get to be mentioned in corruption deals, they are a clique of team who operate amongst as friends, who come from same tribes. They give each other contracts, and out of that then you find that cronism gets to come in. But for us to teach matters of coming together as a nation, then it's very vital for us to sit down and tell these children that we do not see each other from the tribal grounds. We must see each other first as Kenyans.
Because tribalism has influenced politics a lot here in Kenya. As a political analyst, why do you think we still hold on to tribalism here?
Well, I think it's the easiest card to hold as at now, but you can also blame it on the dynamism of the politics that we have in the country, whereby people do not run away from their tribes. They count their tribes as their first background or bedrock of support. Now, if that was to be switched all around and we start seeing leaders not coming from tribes, but as the face of a nation, then that is going to be very vital. So that we do not see Uhuru Kenyatta as a Kikuyu, we do not see Raila Odinga as a Luo or Kalonzo Musyoka as a Kamba first, then that is going to be very vital. And until we reach that level of politics, it's going to be very hard to rid ourselves of tribalism, which is sounding the death knell to even the fight of corruption.
So there's talks about Al-Shabaab because of corruption and everything. What do you think about this?
Corruption, I think it's not one thing you discuss at one level and delink it from the other level. In a sense that corruption has been mentioned at the immigration department. Corruption has been mentioned at the interior docket. And those are just not the only ministries that have been mentioned. Now, if you link corruption at the interior ministry that is charged with security and responsibility for securing a nation, then you find corruption at the Ministry of Immigration, then you see a pattern that if at this level they are affected, then indeed it's true that even at the borders where Al-Shabaab have been mentioned to infiltrate through, there is a lapse. Yeah. And now, if that lapse is taken into account, then the question is, who has been paid for the borders to just be porous? Or who took what bribe? Who did not do their role? That is how you can link it up. So at the national level, if you can blame those ministries that are charged with that, then it is not very hard to look at it down at the deeper levels when now it's just the minor persons dealing with it. But Priscilla, one of the things that you must know that in this world we have two words. There's the word of the mouth that me and you, I tell you something. And then there's the word of our foot. The word of the mouth, I can lie to you because I can backtrack on that word, you won't see it. But when I speak with my foot, you'll definitely see my direction where I'm headed to. I think there is inconsistency in the government's word, in the sense that the government is speaking with its mouth, but its foot is not headed towards fighting corruption. And that is a challenge, because then it means that even when they're walking the walk, you want that to resonate with their foot, you can't see it. For example, when the list of shame, people are mentioned, and out of the monies that have been lost, we see people being acquitted from blame. The question is this: why are we acquitting people, yet the money that has been lost under their watch is not recovered? Today we are talking about Mumia's sugar bailout. Why are we bailing out Mumia's sugar at the tune of 1 billion Kenya shillings, yet we've not even recovered a single money that has been used? The same is applying to Uchumi. Actually, Uchumi right now is in its death knell, and that is twice. Why are we quick to look for quick fixes, and I call them quick fix, but not go for the people who oversaw the corrupt deals? I think until we get to that time, then it's going to just be, oh, another institution has been taken down through corruption means, but it's not the solution.
So how do you think we can hold these people that oversee everything? How do we hold them to account?
There must be systems in place to ensure that the people who oversee an institution run down or a ministry go through corrupt deals, there must be a way to hold them accountable. And one of these things is just to ensure that we provide independence of our institutions that are meant to fight corruption. Another thing is just make sure people go to court, and not just go to court. If somebody has overseen the watch of a corrupt practice in an institution, let them be responsible to return the money that has been stolen. Because there's another thing in taking somebody to court, and there's also another thing in returning the money. So if we can account for each and every money that has been stolen under our watch, that is awesome. Let's take example from North Korea and South Korea, for example. They have a list of their corrupt officials, and they operate to an extent that if there is any person who has been charged with corrupt practices, they are called to return the money. Then they are prosecuted in their own way. You can't say that whether it's right or not the way they do it, but it means people must be responsible for the solution they do. Then at the basic level, I think the various institutions must be involved in propagating for good governance. That is going to be very critical, whether at the institutional level, that is the primary school, high school, and everything like that.
Thank you. We'll return to hear more from Josiah Adiema Adiema right after this short break. Welcome back to Solutions Barabarani. I'm here with Josiah Adiema Adiema as we talk about corruption in Kenya. So Josiah, going back to what you were saying about holding these people to account, taking them to court, do you think there's corruption on that level also? Do you think we can actually take them to court and we can seek justice?
Well, that would be calling me to pass out a verdict on our courts. I can't conclusively say that our courts have been corrupt, but I've seen certain decisions that have been made that begs question. For example, if somebody has, as I say, somebody has overseen a mess in a state institution, why do we take them to court? And because they appear like logically or legally their hands are clean, they are acquitted, but the money is lost. Yet you are in charge. People get to be in charge of certain things because they are capable of running that institution. If that institution undergoes corruption practices, then the topmost person must be responsible for overseeing that. That is what is a system that is for justice calls for.
And also going back to your point of teaching our kids in primary school from a lower level,
Yes.
teaching them anti-corruption.
Yes.
How can we do this? Could we have youth clubs as well?
Kenya National Debate Council, for example, is doing debates, and it's debates on good governance, it's debates on citizenship, and it's debate on fundamental rights. Now, if we were to start a whole national debate a debate program that tells the students how to be patriotic to your country, how to propagate the aspects of good governance, and how to hold leaders to accountability, and social accountability for that matter. Those are some of the changes that we would have, especially from the tender ages, because they say that teach me in the ways of my father, so that when I grow up, I will not depart from it. If we teach our children how to love this nation today, when they grow up, they would love it so much that they would not want to hurt it. Because there are consequences. The consequences to the extent that we know of people that if money has been stolen at the upper level, what we affect is the health system. Kenyans know their relatives who have not accessed medical health care system. Kenyans know of people who have not gone through schools or gotten facilities in their own schools because of corrupt deals. It affects you deep down to the trickling levels.
If there's one thing you would like to tell the nation, what would it be?
There is hope, and each and every single day I hope that the institutions that have been put in place are going to have the mettle to take down on matters corruption. One of the clarion calls has been, do we give the Ethics and Anti-Corruption Authority the full mandate of investigating and even prosecuting? Now, until we get to that level whereby we have independence of these institutions, then all there is hope for it to be in place.
Thank you. From the discussion we have just had, it is evident that the fight against corruption requires political goodwill, which is lacking in Kenya. Perhaps Kenyans need to be extra careful with the leaders they elect to public offices. And that's our call to action. Thank you for watching Solutions Barabarani. I've been your host, Priscilla. You can send your feedback through our SMS line on 20058, or you can tweet us on WTVKE. God bless you and God bless our nation.